How's it going, and welcome to The Guitar Effect. My name's Rob. So this is going to be a video of a piece of guitar equipment that I've never done before in two ways. First of all, it's the first time I've ever demoed an amp other than one or two heads I've had in the years in the room here at home. And secondly, it's the first ever fully digital amp that I've ever demoed. So the first thing I should say is Blackstar is sponsoring this video, and I'm really happy that they have decided to work with me, and they've sent me out the IDX 100, which is currently the kind of most powerful version of their IDX kind of compact. Well, it's not compact, it's a standard 112 size digital gigging combo. And what I mean by that is it has a lot of power. It's loud enough to keep up with any drummer that you might want to keep up with. It's very capable. It has a nice sound in the room, and it has really great sound to the XLR out. So you could use this in a situation where you're going to gig, have it on stage as your on-stage sound, mic it if you want to, or just take the XLR out. The XLR sounds phenomenal in this thing. So I'm not going to like lift up this big amp and hold it in front of the camera. So I'm going to stick a photograph of it up. How do I do this? Up there, okay? So what I'll do is actually I'll just jump off to the side a little bit so that I can put it on the screen beside me. So what you have is you have a 112 combo. It's reasonably light, okay? It's not ridiculously light, but it's light enough to carry around in one hand while you carry a pedal board should you want to with another. It's a 6 preamp voiced amp. And what's really interesting is it's not necessarily speaking to specific other amplifiers. They're all sort of Blackstar's sounds, right? So there's a clean warm sound, a clean bright sound, a crunch sound, a super crunch sound, an OD1 sound, and an OD2 sound, which have been present on their digital amps for a long time. You have 3-band EQ of bass, middle and treble. You've got gain and volume. You've got an ISF, which is an infinite shape feature that goes between a British sounding amp and an American sounding amp. And then you've got the ability to assign either 6L6, EL84 or EL34 power amp kind of feel or sound. And I do think the power amp has a big impact in shaping the sound of the amp. You have a master volume, and you've got a power scaling thing to go from 1 watt to 100 watts of power. Now, I have never used a 112 digital combo, so like the Katana or the Line 6 Catalyst, or I think Laney have one out now. Laney's one I think is just solid state, or a Blackstar ID series of amp. I've never had cause to use them, and that's why I think this demo is really interesting. It's a practicality thing. So recently I made a video actually about how it was kind of a rant about how I don't feel that amps are dead or will ever be dead, right? And that's kind of why I'm making this video, is I wanted to take a digital amp as opposed to a modeler and think of it as a replacement for my tube amp. So I have 2 tube amps that I use live. I have a Cott Studio Tone 20 for covers, which is a channel switching Marshall style head. And then I have a Victory VC35 copper, which is a Vox style head for my originals. And when I'm at the studio, I run both of them together. This can do the job of either. And in the audio demo, I go through that, right? So I'm going to get into the audio demo. I'm sorry. The other thing I need to talk about is it also has a massive array of effects built in. So you've got pre-effects, which are like comps, fuzzes, overdrives and distortions. You've got mods, which is everything from chorus, filter, vibrato, tremolo, all that kind of stuff. You've got delays. You've got like probably 5 or 6 different types of delays, the usual tape, analog, digital, multi-tap, that kind of thing. And then you've got many different reverbs. They're all right there in the front of the panel. They're really easy to operate. And there's also a nice little screen which allows you to know everything that's going on. It's a really capable amp that I think can absolutely do the job of your tube amp. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get into the demo and let you have a listen to it. So here is the IDX 100 from Blackstar. Okay, so the way I have it set up here is, you can see down here I have the top of the amp showing, right? And what I'm going to do is, there's going to be a few different parts to this demo. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show how I would go about setting up the amp as just a single channel amplifier that I would use to put pedals into. I don't have any pedals with me here today, so what I'm going to do is there'll be a third part in the video where I bring the amp out to the studio, and with the band I plug my pedal board into it the way I would my regular tube amp and see how it copes in that scenario. And I did that last week and it coped very, very well. I can tell you that there's absolutely no question that this is loud enough to gig with, right? I've also got it set up in two ways. So as I said, my lapel mic will be picking it up in the room, but it's important to note that the amp is sitting on the ground and it's below the level of my knees. So you've got the sound coming out at my feet being picked up by a lapel mic here. It's not going to give good representation of what it sounds like in the room, but I didn't want to mic it up. I'll be doing that with ambient mics in my band's studio when I go out there, and that'll be the last part of the video. Okay, so I'm playing this. This is my Cort 335 copy. It's a Cort Source CR, and it's a really, really great 335 copy, right? And the reason I'm using this is the next part after I've demoed this will be I'm going to switch over to the DI because it gives a better representation, I think, of what you would use this for at home. And I'm going to demonstrate then, go through the different amp models and the different effects. And then lastly, I've also set up an entire gig setup using the footswitch. So what I'll do then is I'm going to demonstrate the different patches I've managed to set up and how easy it is to use with the footswitch, because there's a real thing here about the capability of this amp from a practicality point of view in a gigging situation, especially where you don't need a huge number of sounds. The footswitch is really capable, and it really is set up in a way to make it be able to use well in a lot of different situations. So the first thing is, here is the sound of the amp on the room. I'm on a EL84 power amp on 1 watt mode, and I'm on the warm clean, and you can see where the EQ is set, right? I've got the treble pushed fairly hard, the mid backed off a little bit, and the bass straight up, right? The volume is just past noon and the gain's at noon. I'm on drop D, that's the bridge pickup, middle pickup. And the neck pickup. Now, I can tell you that that is at a very not going to annoy my neighbours at home sort of level. I'm on the 1 watt mode and it sounds great. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go up to Super Crunch just to show you that you can also play. So again, I can tell you that playing either in clean mode or in dirty mode, you can get a really good practice tool here at home with like really satisfying playing experience at low levels. But I'm not micing the amp in the room, like I said, and what I'm going to use a DI output to show the different sounds I can get as a single channel amp, right? So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so I'm going to turn down the level in the room and I'm going to unmute it on my interface. So now I'm hearing it over here from my speakers, okay? So, right, what I'm going to do now is go through the different tonal options available to you, right? So starting off with the warm clean sound. So this is your traditional American clean sound. So I'm going to wind the ISF over to the American side. I'm on a 6L6 power tube simulation, which is of course a kind of Fender style power tube simulation. Oh. It gives a really nice warm clean sound. Funnily enough, it's called warm clean. I find if you push the gain here a little bit, kind of gets more into the Lux reverb territory. Not dirty, but sort of fatter. Very, very, very satisfying clean sound through the monitors in the room. So that's like the warm clean sound. I'm going to leave the EQ the same and just go up through the different preamp model. So the next one is bright clean. And this is where you get more into, I think, British. I'm going to wind the ISF back kind of to the middle. British style clean sounds like Vox or Mar. Immediately with the gain push, I'm much gain. So what I would do here is I would immediately go to an EL84 parameter. I'm just going to tune really quickly. So there is a tuner on board you get to by tapping the 2 foot switches on the tuner, as you can access on the front of the unit. And the tuner is really powerful, really accurate, and it appears both on the unit and on the foot switch. So here's my problem. And again, I get out of the tuner just by, I can either just hit the switch again. I'm in manual mode, by the way, I'm not in the preset mode. So I'm back in my my British style preamp. Immediately, right, that is the kind of area that I'm most happiest in terms of a clean sound. So I'll come back to that because I think that's where I will run this amp. What I want to do is go through the different preamps. So what I'm going to do is put the gain back up to straight up. So that's clean bright. Here is crunch. You get into kind of plexi kind of territory. Maybe, or AC30 territories. Very nice. You get into super crunch, which gets into more sort of JCM. Really satisfying. I'll change that to an EL34. Really nice. And then you get into OD1, which is where you can start getting into your more sort of modern. I'm going to put it down to 6L6 for this. More modern sounding. I would say probably a little bit too gainy for that, but really satisfying. And then you go up to the last model, which is OD2, which is where you get into super kind of dirty territory, which I really like actually. In truth, that's probably even too gainy for that, but it's quite satisfying gains, and I've also thought Blackstar really good. Really good at chuggy high gain. So you've got like every possible type of preamp you could possibly want, right? I'm going to go back to the clean bright, and I'm going to go back to EL84. So you can hear there's a reverb on there. I'm going to go through the effects for a second, but this is pretty much where I would land. I would even be tempted, you know, to whack the treble on full to get a more voxy kind of thing going. That's quite maybe a bit more gain as well, quite a satisfying starting point. That would be where I would go to if I was using this as a single channel amp. Got an EL84-ish warm but like with a lot of definition. Now, there's also something I want to do. You can switch between two preloaded IRs on the back of the unit, right? And it comes up on the little display here. So I'm going to just find the switch, I think is here. No, here. So right now, this is the US 212. So this is the cabinet off the, what's it called? The St. James. And the other one I have is the cabinet off the Artisan 30, which is this one. Which I much prefer in this situation, but I do have the option of those two, like the bassy sort of contemporary modern sounding cabinet and a more vintage sound. So that's the different types of cabs you can use. It really is a brilliant sounding amplifier, especially through the monitors in the room. I think you could track some really, really great guitar tracks with this. So, next thing I want to do is quickly go through the effects. So the first effect I have is a valve boost, right? So I hit the pre-effects button. Say I didn't want that and I wanted to change it. It's so easy. I just hit this switch. It goes from valve boost to red drive. Say I wanted a tube screamer. You can hear, by the way, I'm on a dirty amp, so all the pedals are quite dirty sounding. There's also a noise gate, which is hard to activate. Well, actually, it's not really. You hold down the shift button and then you bring the gate in. So the gate works. I'm just going to tap that off. So I'm in manual mode. I'll just go through a few more. You have the K drive, which is the blue drive, which is a blues breaker. You've also got some fuzzes up here. So smile fuzz. Very satisfying. You've got an octafuzz. Really, really satisfying. But the one I like at the moment the best is the first one, which is a valve boost. So I do like a boost pedal, you know. So if I go back here, this is giving me the difference between my just past clean sound and my boosted valve clean. Very satisfying. I think that's a bit bright, so I'm going to roll the tone back a bit, which I can do easily on the front of the amp. Very, very nice. So that's like a boost. I also have a tremolo on here. Lovely. Same thing applies if I want to change that. I can go to a vibe. Or I can go to a phaser. Too fast. So what I do there is I think I hit in there and I wind the speed back. Again, I need to tune. So again, to tune, just hit the 2 foot switches. I think it's probably my G string again. Yep. Back out, easy peasy. But again, I like the tremolo for this particular setup that I have. So I'm going to bring that back to hit the type, bring it down to bias tremolo and leave it there. But now the speed's too slow, click into it. Really gorgeous. Beautiful. I know an analog delay with a modulation on it. It's gorgeous. Just to hear that delay by itself. So on the delays, right, I can go in and I can change that to say a tape delay. I can change the tap. I can bring the mix up. You cycle through the menu with the you cycle through the menu with this switch. It's really, really easy to navigate. So I can go. Or indeed. It's too long. It's timed wrong. You can get those sounds out of it, no problem, you know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that back to the analog. I'm going to bring the mix way down. Really gorgeous sounds. Like the effects are of a really, really high quality. I mean, that's really subtly modulated delay. And if you want a more modulated delay, the tape is way more pronounced. Really great. So I can tell you that to go and get any particular guitar sound you might want before recording a part, it's very easy to access all sorts of different preamp, power amp and cab types from the amp without using the software at all. It's very easy to dial in some really, really nice sounding effects, and it's just an XLR straight into my interface here, right? And it sounds really lovely, like really, really great. And it has enough flexibility that no matter what amp, like what this will be theoretically replacing live will be my Victory VC35 copper, which is their EL84 Voxy style thing, right? It can't do that exactly, but it can get me something that feels very similar. One thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to dial this. Turn off the delay. Really, really gorgeous. Right, so that's all the different kind of features that appear on the top of the amp. I think I've covered off most stuff there. So what I'm going to do now is I have set up to be able to do an entire gig with my Noughties tribute band using the footswitch, right? So I'm just going to show you how capable this is as an entire solution to your rig, right, for a presets-based gig. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you the footswitch, right? So this is the footswitch, because I can't get it in camera. So on the footswitch you have A, B, C, D and E. It plugs in to the back via a simple TS cable, not even TRS cable. There's two foot switches available. There's a 2-button one and this is the FS12, which is a 5-button one. And how this works is you've got A, B and C, which are 3 presets within one bank, and you've got D and E, which you can assign to do whatever you want. On the front of the unit you can change these 3 presets by hitting the 3 preset buttons and then cycling through the banks, but you've only got 3 banks. If you use a foot switch, you've got 99 banks, I think, so you can have an infinite number of presets, more than you would ever need. In the Noughties tribute band, I have 3 different presets. I have a main preset, which I use for most of the gig. I have a kind of a strokes preset, which I use for when we're playing the stroke stuff. And then I have a Queens of the Stone Age preset. And then I have 2 Snow Patrol presets. It's very easy for me to remember them. I don't need preset names. However, I'm going to get into that in a sec. So what I've done is I have 3 banks of 3 presets, and in each one of them I have the D and E doing different things. Mostly the D is turning on the boost and the E is either turning on the mod or the delay, right? So I'm going to put the foot switch on the ground and bring you through the different sounds that I've managed to get now. So just give me a sec. Okay, so I have the foot switch on the ground here, and you can still see, and I think it's important to see what the amp's going to do when I change presets. So for this gig, say there is a main bank of presets which are clean, where I'm on the clean warm. Again, I'm on the Artisan 30 IR for all of this, although obviously it would just be the sound coming from the amp live, but I would use the IR for going to the front of house. So what I would do is I'd have this on stage with my monitoring, and I can tell you again, it's definitely loud enough to keep up with our very, very loud drummer. We're like a rock band, so we play pretty hard, right? So I'd have the amp on stage as my monitor for playing my guitar, and then I'd have the XLR going to the front of house with these sounds that you're going to hear now, right? So this is my clean. And what I would use that for is pass cleans. Right, but if I wanted to go a bit heavier there, I've got a blues breaker on switch D here. So without the blues breaker, with the blues breaker. And on switch E, I've got a delay. So I've got a delay should I need. I mean, there's a Travis song where we say clean and I play the chorus part with a delay and it goes. We have a heavier song, right? So say Steady As She Goes by the Raconteurs, for example, right? This will be the main sound for that. This is I've moved on to it now. This is the crunch mode, and it's still got the EL84 power amp. So it's like I've turned to a slightly different version, or dirtier version of the same amp. And on this one, I have a tube screamer for when I need to play a lead part. And off. Right, they're the 2 main sounds I would be in for the vast majority of that gig. But I then have a third preset where I have the same crunch amp, but now I have a fuzz face on in front of it all the time. Or for Black Rebel Motorcycle Club. Real filthy, fuzzy sound. All the time having my delay or to turn that fuzz off if I want it on D and E foot switches. Very easy to remember. For a sec, right? Because what this ultimately amounts to is, as opposed to having my pedal board with cables running to the effects loop of my amp, so you've got 4 cables because of channel switching going back there, I just have this one 5-button foot switch on the floor. Like, use a wireless lead to go into my amplifier. It's like dramatically simplified rig. But because the needs of this band are a little bit less intense compared to my originals band, really opens up a huge amount of possibilities for simplicity for me at a gig. It's very impressive and the sounds are great. Okay, so the next thing I can do then is, for the stroke songs I have a separate bank set up, right? So if I jump up from 1A here to 2A, you can see a few things change, right? So I stay on the clean bright, but now I'm gone down to a 6L6 power tube configuration over here. And that is because I play Nick Valenzi's parts in Strokes, right? And he uses a Fender style amp most of the time. So I wanted to give just a little bit more of that type of sound, right? So I've also changed the preamp characteristics of the EQ a little bit so that it gets more in line with his sound. So there's a couple of different parts I play. The first is the clean part. So obviously, so it's a rounder kind of sound, right? And then still a tiny little bit of grit. And I can then, if I want to, add add the red drive, which is the drive pedal I've chosen here. So again, for say, if I wanted to do Someday, it goes for the verses, but when it comes into the chorus, I kick on the drive pedal. Which gives that very much overdrive pedal into a Fender style amp kind of sound. Which again, I can just have here at my feet. It's brilliant. I have the clean sound and then the boost pedal. If I wanted a second one, this is where it changes to, again, the crunch sound, but it stays in the 6L6 power amp stage. Back pickup for Reptilia. And the cool thing here is I hit the third switch and I get into the lead sound, which I've really pushed the mids here. His lead sound is almost cocked wah mids heavy. So I have all the sounds I need. By the way, there's the red drive is on there with that pushed mid sound. So then the last song we do in of By the Strokes is Juice Box, which has this tremolo, which is really, really fast. So when the song starts, I have the boost on and it's going. And when the riff comes in, I just slide down. And I can turn the boost off. So, in Queens of the Stone Age, now the unfortunate thing here is on my board I have a drop, a Digitech drop for going down to C for the No One Knows for the Queens of the Stone Age. I don't have that effect capability within the IDX 100, so I'd have to add a drop. However, because I play Troy Van Leeuwen's parts, I can actually play it in standard tuning just by playing it in C minor. So the main sound is, and that is the OG fuzz over the Super Crunch preset with a 6L6 preamp, which sounds like this. Then when it comes into the chorus part, which is where I come in, it goes. And I apologise, the fuzz isn't on here. I hit the switch and it turns on the fuzz to be super heavy for that part. All there in front of me, all digital models of these things. It just works perfectly. And the last two I have is the Snow Patrol one, which has a delay and a tremolo in the verse. Back to clean bright here with a boost on, and then in the chorus it goes to a rotary. Now unfortunately the IDX 100 doesn't have a rotary, so I'm using a harmonic tremolo to kind of get the same effect. Works okay. I would much prefer it. I tried the vibrato, it was too pronounced. I tried the chorus, it sounded a bit too watery. That was kind of the best rotary kind of simulation I have. But point being, this all works brilliantly. And it's just this really simple foot switch on the floor. If they named the presets, I could use even more presets. If they did that thing I was saying where they made the name flash across, I could have real confidence just using this. No cables. Literally just, I'm using a wireless lead here into the input of the amp, and that's it. The cable for the foot switch running from the amp out to the front of the stage, and I have control over everything. Really bears thinking about. I'm switching different kind of power amp simulations and switching different preamp simulations, but it's well thought out enough by Blackstar that it's never such a severe jump as to be an unpleasant experience with changing guitar sounds as I go from song to song. I can tell you, and I'll show this part at the end of the video where I'm playing it out in the studio and you'll hear how it keeps up the band. I can tell you it's definitely powerful enough to gig with. It's not shockingly light, actually, which I think is an interesting point to make. It's light. It's definitely lighter than carrying my, what this will replace, which will be my Koch Studio Tone 20 head and a Hardy Benton 1x12 vintage 30 cabinet. It's lighter than that, but it's not like 100 times lighter. It's like 3 times lighter. So it is significantly light, but it's not like throw it around light, which doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? Personally, I think we've all gotten a little bit too obsessed with having absolutely no effort to go set up for a show. You're a rock band. You should carry your gear around with you. I think it's part of the gig is being able to hear yourself properly and having a confident sound. Now, overall, from a live experience, I think using this as a single channel amplifier, you can get some really satisfying results. But I also think using it as a channel switching preset, all the effects you need are on board, including drive pedals, fuzz pedals. It's really impressive. All right, so I've got the amp like beside me here in my rehearsal room. I'm here with Baz and Justin from Kampala. At the end of our rehearsal, I just wanted to show you really quickly that the amp can keep up with a band in a room, right? So, and I'm having my pedal board going into it as it was in that single channel configuration I was talking about at the beginning of the video. So here's what the amp sounds like. In order to show it in its full sort of capacity to play with a band, we're going to play a heavy song. So what I'm going to do is, from my pedal board, I have a delay on already, I'm going to add an OCD. Really thick, heavy sound, right? And this is what it sounds like with the band. Justin, if you would. You can see, like, it totally keeps up with a band. So, there you go. I mean, I appreciate this has been a really long video, but I wanted to give the thing a proper outing from a practicality point of view and talk about all the different ways which you can use this, I think, to really great effect. Now, here is the big question. Will this replace my... Should I go out and buy another one of these and have it just replace both of my amps? Yes and no. I'll elaborate on that. I don't think the sag is there to match particularly the Victory amp, right? The Victory amp has a natural slow attack on the note that is the inefficiency of the tubes that I didn't even realise I liked as much as I do, that this just doesn't have. No matter what you do, there is an immediacy to this amp that doesn't give me the same feeling as the Victory, even no matter how close I set it to Victory. The sound can be really good, but the immediacy of the note, the kind of sponginess that is there in the Victory, even when it's clean, and it's a very, very hard thing to explain when it's clean, but when it's clean, there's a sense of bloom with a note that I don't think a digital amp can do, right? But playing the covers band, the ability it has with those presets that I went through to replace my entire rig with one cable and the foot switch is really a lot to consider, and something I really need to think about, because it's extremely powerful. It sounds amazing through the PA, but I also have a powerful rig on stage that's very portable and very easy to get around. So it's very much a yes and no situation. It won't be replacing my tube amps, and I think there's a thing about that, certainly in the original sound, the original band, where I'm relying on the specific feel and tone of that Victory amp as being a core part of the identity of my guitar sound in that band. The covers thing is a bit different because you've more ground to cover, right? No pun intended. And I think that something like this does open up a lot of possibilities. It can really trim down your rig. And like, it's worth thinking about in a lot of ways. And I've been really impressed by the sound of this, both in the room here through my speakers using the XLR out, as a practice tool, just using the 1 watt setting in the room, or either actually, as you heard out of the studio, it can absolutely keep up with the band. So there's a lot to think about here, about this. And I also think Blackstar have chosen, and this is really important to me, they've chosen a zero bells and whistles approach to this. There's a really simple single colour screen on the top. Everything is controlled by knobs and clicking on knobs. There's no menus, you don't need a phone app. There is a brilliant editor, but again, the editor, like, I was watching the video about the new Spark amp, where the interface is just riddled with Gen AI graphics. Why would anybody do that? And I really like the fact that every aspect of this plays to someone who wants to play an amp, right? It's simple, it's knob based, it's not got any unnecessary bells and whistles, and the sounds it does have are really, really, really good. I think if you're looking for one of these Katana Catalyst style amplifiers, or even that Spark one, this is where I'd be going straight out of the gate. And I will say, on 2 occasions I've gone to a house gig where the amp has been a Katana, and I have found it more difficult to get a bass tone out of that Katana than I have with this. Now, I wouldn't have had as much time, right, straight up, but I have found the sound of this really satisfying with my pedal board out in the studio. So I think these really, really require a look, and thanks very much to Blackstar for sending it out and sponsoring the video. Any questions, throw them in the comment section down below. Happy to answer them. If you think about picking one of these up, I'll stick my Thome and affiliate link up here. I'll get a kickback if you do that, which really helps the channel out massively. And if you want to help the channel, you can like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. I know it's very long. I would really appreciate it. It helps the channel out massively. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much again to Blackstar, and I'll see you in another video again soon. Take it easy. Bye bye.